How are you doing, my friends? This is Gabriel McCurtis. I'm getting ready to set my screen up, and I want you to see what I see. We're going to be talking about a theory called motivation theory, under motivation theory called equity theory, and this PowerPoint is by yours truly, Gabriel McCurtis. Equity theory, I'm going to go down into the history, but basically it's looking at a person's perception as to their inputs and outcomes. If the input is equal to the outcome, they will not experience dissonance. If another person's input equals the outcome, there would be no dissonance. However, if an individual's input was different from another person's outcome and things were being equal, in other words, I came in with the same experience as you, I put in 40 hours as you, why are you getting pay raises and I don't? It's going to cause dissonance. Definition of equity theory. I pulled this definition from an article called Equity Theory, Keeping Employees Motivated, 2017. It says the equity theory centers on the idea that people appreciate equity. I'll give you a little background on the equity theory, who the founder was and what it's about. A man by the name of John Stacy Adams is considered to be the person that came up with the idea of equity theory. Stacy Adams was a workplace behavioral psychologist in 1963. And once again, you see the visual aid here, that equity theory, you have this weighing going on, and it's weighed one against one or more reference groups, yourself looking at a reference group. In other words, the idea that John Adams was espousing is the idea that fairness motivates individuals. Fairness, if something is seen as unfair, that is not going to bring motivation. It says in a workplace scenario, the equity theory motivates a person that senses inequity among him or others and a peer group, and they're looking at, they feel that if there's something that's inequitable, there needs to be some adjustments. And some of these adjustments either will cause them to leave or either them to fight for fairness. That is basically the equity theory. Equity theory comes from a mixture of theories. Some of the theories, the exchange theories, the dissonance and the social comparison theories, these are just a few theories that the theory derives from. Give you some key aspects to the theory, the equity theory. They're called propositions. And so we're going to look at 4 propositions. Proposition number 1, it says the more an injustice is seen in the eyes of a person, the increase in distress results. And so when I was looking at this, they're saying there is a person is, once again, as they're dealing with themselves and others, they're looking at how fair or how equal their pay is, the amount of work that they're putting in, what they're getting back from the company. And if they're seeing that these things do not match, in other words, I put in 8 hours of hard work. A coworker is lollygagging. He's not working but then we get the same amount of pay at the end of the day, that's going to cause some distress. That's proposition number one. Proposition number two, if there is a perceived disparity within the input outcome in the eyes of an individual, then inequity occurs. So once again, when I come to the table on my job as an educator, in other words, if I come in with a doctorate degree, I have so many years of service in the institution, or I come in with a BA or master's degree, and other people at the same level that I come in with the same experiences, the same job assignment, and all of a sudden I'm looking and, they're getting $20,000, $30,000 more than me. And we're not even talking about the pay scale where things are different. In other words, there's just a disparity. Some of these people are just hired cheap. Other people are getting more. It brings dissonance in a person's mind. People don't like that. Number three, the more an injustice is seen in the eyes of a person, the increase in distress results. So I'm at work and I see a situation where I'm really towing the line on my part. And other people, they're not towing the line, but at the end of the day, they're getting meal tickets or something extra. They get the same amount of pay as me, and they're coming in late. This management, they know they're coming in late. They know that these people aren't pulling their fair weight. A person is beginning to say, this is not fair. That's really what it is. This is not fair. And dealing with the millennials, this generation, these people don't like that. They get very vocal. This is not fair. And I need to do something about it, even to the point where they will terminate their relationship. So proposition number 4 says, increased stress that a person experiences as a result of perceived inequality, the more that person will work to reduce it by any means possible, including the termination of a relationship with the offending party. From the research that I had, they said they will sabotage the company that they're working for. They will steal from the company. They will do any kind of thing. Oh, you're going to give this guy a meal ticket over me, and I'm the one that did the bulk of the work? Well, let me go in the restroom and let me damage a lot of, let me just take out my aggression in the restroom. I'm going to graffiti, I'm going to this, or I'm going to steal from you. I'm going to damage property. These are things that people will do, can do, and will do if they feel that their perceived inequality is not getting any better. It's not being reduced. Looked at 3 different researchers, and as it relates to equity theory, the first one was Al-Zawahiri and Al-Mahdi 2012. I hope I'm not killing those names there. And these authors posited that employees have a desire to experience a sense of control concerning their longevity with an employer. That is why equity in the workplace is vital to them, and especially when it comes to wages. Remember, I'm dealing with, I'm saying the millennials, but I'm not a millennial. I'm a baby boomer. I don't like to see someone else that's just not pulling their weight, that's not showing up to work. I don't want to see them get the same pay as me. And so that's what it's saying in terms of wages. If we come in, same amount of years, same experiences, same certification, and all of a sudden there's a $20,000 gap. You hear about this when it comes to women coming in the workforce. Sometimes they're saying, "Hey, I come in with the same experience as this male, and he's making $20,000 more than me doing the same job." They don't like that. I wouldn't like it either. In other words, equal work for equal pay. And so that is one of the researches that's done. The next one is Hoosman et al. That's Hoosman, Hartford, and Miles, 1987. Now let's see what these authors looked at. They presented a new concept, and it was called equity sensitivity. And they postulated that equity sensitivity contemplates a person's view of equality and organizational outcomes pertinent to one's satisfaction at work, the amount of work completed, the quality of that work, one's absence from work, and his or her level of leaving a job and different things. So equity sensitivity not only provides a framework to understand better how a person perceives uncertain aspects to the job, which has been written about extensively, but offered a look at other personality variables such as a person's need for appreciation. So once again, they're looking at, does my employer appreciate me? They're looking around. They're saying, hey, this person is absent all the time, or hitting and missing. Every Friday they're absent, and nothing's done to them, but they get the same amount of pay as me. So once again, they're looking at those differences, and when they can't reconcile the two, dissonance sets in. Then we go to Kaplan et al., and let's see what they looked at. They observed a person's brain response to income disparity in circumstances as performance. The study was done in Sweden, and they looked at about, I think there were 45 men, but they had a scanning period where they were able to had an MRI to scan these people, and they found out there was a correlation in the oxygen level, either an increase or decrease in an oxygen level during certain things. So they showed that that when people disapproved of certain things, especially when it comes to income distribution, it showed up in their brain waves. And so you could tell as the response to income disparity, as they saw that income disparity, you saw those brain waves begin to increase. And that showed that people don't like to see things that are not equal. And so when you look at all of these, the studies that I presented to you, the thing that's concluded here is once an employer, especially management, if they understand how their employees feel when they perceive that things are not equal, it could lead to walkouts. It could lead to them quitting jobs. It could lead to sabotage, work sabotage. It could lead to a work slowdown. And so if the personnel, even if the HR department understood this, they would have to realize we need to give equitable compensation. We have to be fair, equal work for equal pay, whether they're male or female, equal work for equal pay. These are the things that people are looking for. This was a great study, this motivational theory, looking at equity theory was a great project for me. Now we're going to look at our references. Here's a list of the references that I used in coming up with this study and putting together this PowerPoint. So Power Docs, thank you for listening to me. This is Gabriel McCurtis out. I see you in the future, and your future looks much brighter.